Next, after the survey techniques, are the so-called creativity techniques. We're going to talk about brainstorming paradox, change of perspective, and a self-study content will also provide information on the analogy technique. So let's get started with creativity techniques in general. They are very well suited for outlining an initial vision of a system, developing innovative requirements and eliciting excitement factors. So what's cool, what's great about something. They're also very good to get the stakeholders on board because this is way more engaging and entertaining than asking like very boring questions and this something that feels like work. But those creativity techniques, they have like a fun potential. There are also downsides to this approach or to this category of techniques. They are not well suited for getting fine-grained requirements because they're working more on a broader abstract level. So the techniques yield general ideas about possible requirements, not specifics, and they are especially unsuited for complex charting of system behavior. So everything has advantage and disadvantage. So brainstorming first. Everyone probably have heard of brainstorming. Most of you probably have done a brainstorming. A bigger portion of you probably have done brainstorming wrong because most people assume brainstorming is just about throwing ideas in a room and then, yeah, you're done. But there's few structured things you should keep in mind when you are the requirements engineer leading a brainstorm and conducting a brainstorming session. First, make it a fixed time frame. Also keep in mind how many people should be in that room where you're conducting the brainstorm. 2 or 3 people might not be enough, then it's just a discussion. 50 people might be too much. Usually you're working in groups of 5 to 10 people. You have a moderator who documents ideas without discussing them, judging them, or commenting on them, just writing down. Participants expand and modify ideas or add new ones. And once the ideas are collected, they are discussed. So first, collecting, extending, and adding new. Afterwards, discussion. Each idea is subject to a thorough analysis, and then you collect and wrap up what you gathered in this brainstorming. This is quite effective if different stakeholders are involved so that you could get more like viewpoints and perspectives on the matter. A large number of ideas can be collected in a very short amount of time, especially if you have motivated and committed stakeholders. And people can expand on ideas collaboratively, especially from those different perspectives. Someone proposes a new functionality for a business process that was quite painful thus far. And everyone has maybe different experience with this business process because they are involved at different steps of this process. And thereby you can get a lot of collaborative progress in a certain direction. Unbiased collection allows new ideas and solutions to pop up. So make sure that the participants do not feel judged in any way or like have any negative emotions attached to it. But the effectiveness depends on the group dynamic. So you can have various levels of dominance, which effectively reduce the number of participants. If there is one dominating person who does not let other people voice their opinions, then you could also just talk to that one person. So you as a requirements engineer also have to guide those group dynamics. And other techniques might be better suited for this task, but it's one approach, like the 6-3-5 method, where you have 6 participants, 3 ideas each, and 5-fold handoff. But those are just like different variations for creativity approaches. After the brainstorming, you could also do the brainstorming paradox, which is a variant of the brainstorming, where you collect events that must not occur instead of ideas. So the goal is to develop measures to prevent those events that you do not want to have. So you do not want to have a super slow and complicated bureaucratic process for something in your company. So how could you avoid that? Essentially, you're trying to figure out what to avoid. It's very well suited for the early identifications of risks and countermeasures. So brainstorming to get innovative, new, creative ideas. And this is now to identify risks and countermeasures to prevent things that you definitely don't want to have. General, same advantages and disadvantages as a brainstorming, but two different directions to get an illicit requirements for. Third creativity technique that we're going to list here is a change of perspective. They involve people change their perspective on what they're doing, and there are various approaches on how to do this and variations depending on the underlying philosophy. Quite popular version is the 6 thinking hats, where you have 6 differently colored hats that represent certain perspectives and on a problem, and the goal is to get information like what is available, emotions, discernments, optimistic response, creativity, and ordered inputs from those conversations. And the goal is to have a solution that approaches the problem from different standpoints. So not just, I have this problem, but you rather put yourself in the shoes or the head of someone else, and thereby getting more complete perspective on the requirements and the underlying problem that you try to solve with your product. And it also helps with stakeholders who are convinced of their opinion, because you can persuade them to adapt a different point of view. Could be also interesting if you have, let's say, very tech stakeholders and less tech stakeholders, and make them switch their perspective, or both, like get them to switch and think outside their comfort zone.